What is up, people? My name is Shoquafina. I'm the coach of your Lake Huron Lanturns here in Week 9 of the National Battle Association. And this week we are taking on ShatteredSimisear and his team, the Tampa Bay Rayquazas. If you guys are excited for this battle video, please leave a like down below, as well as subscribe to me on YouTube if you haven't already. And also follow me on Twitter, because I always post on Twitter when I upload a video to YouTube. So links for all that should be down below. Also check out the team builder so you know what we're bringing this week. There's going to be a little bit of heat this week on my T-Tar specifically, so go check that out before watching this so you have a better understanding of what's going on. Now, talking about teams, let's talk about his team, because I'm so excited that he did not bring Volcanion. It takes a lot of pressure off of me, because Volcanion actually 6-0'd me, pretty much, straight up. The thing just annihilated me. Nothing on my team wants to take a Steam Eruption. Only like 2 things on my team want to take a Fire Blast, so I'm really happy that's not here. Goodbye, I don't want to deal with it. I'm also happy Amoonguss isn't here because I don't want to deal with that either. That'd give him 3 Pokemon with Regenerator. Amoonguss has Spore, which can be very annoying. Granted, I do have ways to take care of it, like my Mega Pinsir and my Chandelure, but I'm excited not to see that. I'm also very excited to see that Archeops, because I feel like I can just completely body that thing. And I feel like it's not going to do anything to me because I have so many different ways to deal with it. And I have maybe 1 or 2 Pokemon that it actually wants to go up against. And I'm obviously not going to send them in against it. So I feel very good about him bringing the Archeops instead of the Amoonguss or the Volcanion. If that Archeops was a Volcanion instead, I'd be very, very, very frightened. But this tells me, because Archeops gets Stealth Rock, this tells me right off the bat that it's probably his Stealth Rocker, and that's why it's here, because he wanted to run probably Scarf or Band Crook. So we'll have to keep an eye out on Crocodile. Hopefully get a burn on that with our Rotom. Hopefully. Also, we have to watch for Stealth Rocks, because if he's already Mega Evolved as Mega Diancie, that's going to be a problem. I want to get Stealth Rocks up on the field. It does 25% to the Archeops, but more importantly, it does 25% to that Zapdos, which is going to be very annoying for me, because it deals with my Mega Pinsir. It deals with my Excadrill, because if it has Heat Wave, I can't switch into his Volt Switches with Excadrill, because it would just destroy me. It has the potential to deal with my Hitmontop if it has like HP Flying or like Drill Peck or something strange like that. That hits me super effective. That's Stab. I don't want to deal with the Zapdos. I want it gone as soon as possible. I need Stealth Rocks up on the field. But that being said, he has 3 Pokemon weak to Water, 1 Pokemon weak to Electric. My play here is to lead Rotom. His Zapdos can't do anything to me. I'm fully specially defensive. If he leads with the Mienshao, which is a possibility, it's a pretty good lead, fast U-turn, that kind of stuff. But I could just go into my Hitmontop and intimidate it, take any hit since I'm max defense. So my lead here is obvious. It's the Rotom. If he leads with anything trying to get Stealth Rocks up, I can potentially burn it, or I can go for a Hydro Pump on it. So I'm feeling pretty good. I lead it through my Rotom, as he does lead with his Archeops and sets up the Stealth Rocks. I'm not surprised by that at all. That tells me 100% that this Crook is fully offensive, because if it was defensive, he would have ran Intimidate with Stealth Rocks instead of bringing this thing as just a Stealth Rocker. Because really, what does this do to my team? Let's be completely honest, guys. It does get access to like U-turn, so he can have a Volt Turn core here with the Zapdos, but come on, it's a freaking Archeops. So, seeing him lead with this, I knew it was going to set up Stealth Rocks or switch out on me, so I decided to go for the Will-O-Wisp, just to burn this, just in case, or to burn the potential Mienshao upon switch in, or really anything that wants to switch in. So I go for the Will-O-Wisp here. We get the burn on the Archeops, which means this thing's practically useless. He switches out into the Zapdos. I go ahead and get a Slow Volt switch here off and go right out into my T-Tar, because this thing cannot touch Tyranitar in the sand. Can't do anything except for Toxic. So I'm not really worried about this. I'm expecting a switch, which we do see. We see him switch out here. No Volt Switch, though, so he's probably scouting to see if he's faster than me. I go ahead and go for the Rocks, though, as he goes into his Alomomola. I don't want to stay in on this. Scald is not my friend, especially since my set this week means I want to put pressure, offensive pressure on his team, as well as setting up Stealth Rocks. So I don't want to take a Scald. I want to be able to hit things hard later on, since I am adamant. So I do switch out here. right back out into my Rotom because Rotom just checks a lot of his team. As we see the Wish, now I'm predicting to switch back out into Zapdos because why would he Wish on a T-Tar if he wasn't going to switch back into something else? So I decided to show off my dual status here. I went for the Will-O-Wisp on turn 1. So here on turn 5, I'm going to go for the Toxic. As he does switch in the Zapdos, we get the Toxic off, and we hit it. So that's fantastic for me. This Zapdos is a thorn in my side. I need him out of here. If he's Toxic, taking damage every turn. Stealth Rocks are up, he's taking damage, and when he switches in, Sand is up, he's taking damage every turn. Hydro Pump does 30%. This thing is getting worn down incredibly fast. His Roost aren't going to help him because Toxic is going to keep racking up. He does hit me with the Toxic though, but that's fine. As he goes for Defog the next turn, I just decided to Volt Switch out in case he decided to switch out as well. But he didn't. He decided to Defog instead, which I feel like is kind of a misplay because it gives me the opportunity to go into my T-Tar and freely set up Stealth Rocks again. And then kill this thing, essentially. Thanks to Toxic damage. So he has to stay in here because I'm setting up Stealth Rocks this turn and he'd die otherwise. So he decides to go for the Toxic instead. And I set up my Stealth Rocks, obviously. And then he dies to Toxic damage. And my Stealth Rocks are here to stay for the rest of the match. So we played that very, very well. We are Toxic, just like our Rotom, though, on our T-Tar. So that's not the best thing in the world, but I'm not too worried about it because we're putting a lot of pressure on his team. We got rid of probably, I'd say, top 3 Pokemon on this team that can actually do things against me. This Mienshao being the other one. I can't stay in here because if I Jump Kick, I'm just going to go out and Hitmon top here. Dr. Dreidel, get the Intimidate off because Dr. Dreidel is very intimidating. As he goes for the knockoff, probably predicting my Chandelure instead. So Sand goes down, he goes out into his Alomomola. I just go for close combat here. We see that doesn't really do too much. I have to switch out here though because I don't want to take a Scald and get burned. So I go out to my Laundromat as he goes for another Wish, the only move this thing ever uses. He's the Wish Fish. I hate him. I hate Alomomola. If that's something you guys need to know about me, I just hate Alomomola with all of the passions of all the Burning Suns. So he decides to switch out here into the Archeops to absorb this Toxic, which is oncoming, which it is. He takes the burn damage, still just above the Fetus range. So he does outspeed us and puts up the Stealth Rocks again. That Volt Switch knocks him out. So we're up 6-4 pretty early in the match as I go out into my Dr. Dreidel to hopefully spin these rocks away as he goes out into his Mienshao after the feinted Archeops. So we're up 6-4. We're looking pretty good. I'm doing some calcs. Since I'm fully physically defensive, I can live a high jump kick. I know I can live a high jump kick. And he might not want to go for it because I have Chandelure in the back. And if I switch into Chandelure on a high jump kick, this thing loses 50% of his health. So, kind of a 50-50 here, to be honest. I get Rapid Spin off here. And since his Stealth Rocker and Defogger are gone, that means I'll have the Hazards advantage for the rest of the game. And I'll live any hit. Or I could switch into Chandelure, predicting the high jump kick, and this thing essentially dies since I'm Scarf. And to just kill it with a Shadow Ball next turn. So, it's a 50-50 here. We'll see what he chooses. He does go for the high jump kick here, and he actually gets a crit and knocks me out. I was kind of mad about that, but what can you do? I go out into my Pinsir here. He doesn't want to stay in because I can hit it with a flying type move. I do Mega Evolve and go for that quick attack there. And his Alomomola does not care about that. I go for the knockoff. I need to get rid of this thing's leftovers, which I do, as he goes for the Wish, because he's the Wish Fish. Back out in the Laundromat I go, as we see the Scald. So I'm glad I didn't stay in there. I don't want to be burned on my Mega Pinsir. As he goes for Protect here, he's showing Scald, Protect, Wish, the standard flappy, dumb fish stuff. As he does switch out here and go into Crook, I predict the switch and go for the Will-O-Wisp. Because Shoquafina is a straight up G. I went for the Toxic on the Protect, so he probably is like, you know what, I'll switch into my Crocodile on the Toxic. That way I can't get burned later on in the match. But little did he know, I saw that coming from a mile away. Why else would you Protect? You know what I'm going for. So we see this guy, he's here, he's burned. I'm not worried about him that much anymore. I think he's Scarfed. I've been thinking he's Scarfed this whole game. We don't see Intimidate, which means this thing is Moxie. Scarf Moxie is a thing. It's a very scary thing, but he's burned, so what do I care? I can just go for Hydro Pump this turn and knock this thing out. He can't kill me, because I'm at too high of health and he's burned. So that's cool. He knocks off. I do hang on. I go for the Hydro Pump and I miss. Oh, I missed the Hydro Pump. That hurt, guys. That hurt so bad. So we go down without taking this thing down with me, and that means that our Chandelure has to live a knockoff, which we do barely, and then we go ahead and go for the Energy Ball to knock this thing out. And we died with a U-turn because we don't have our Scarf anymore. So that really stunk. We would have still had our Chandelure, had that Hydro Pump connected, and we would have just traded Rotom for the Crook, which would have been completely fine in my opinion. Chandelure would have still been at full. I would have switched. Honestly, I would have switched into the T-Tar here. But, you know, that's just how it's going to go. So he goes for the U-turn, knocks out our Chandelure. And we see him go back out into the Alomomola because this thing just walls everything on my team. I can't really do anything about this Alomomola. I set up the Sand again with my T-Tar, and I missed the Stone Edge. Guys, at this point, he goes for the Wish here, by the way. But at this point, I'm just like, what do I have to do to hit a move? What do I have to do to not get crit? You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where you're like obviously it's not Shattered's fault. He's playing as well as he can. Alomomola is staying out there, just being fat because he's a fat fish, and everyone hates it. But I'm just like kind of disheartened at this point, you know. I'm like, can I hit a move, please? It'd be really fantastic if one of these things could land and actually do a little bit of damage to his Pokemon. But so the next turn comes here. I go for the Stone Edge. We see that does 31%, and if that previous one would have hit, he would have been down around 20% or so. Especially after Sand, he would have been below 20%, and we'd be in a much better position than we are now. I just go ahead and try sack this thing off as he goes for a Wish. What can you do? I just close combat to get some damage off on it as we see the Scald again. So down goes our Mega Pinsir. So it's now a 2-3 him. So it became a 4-1 swing. We were up 6-4, now we're down 3-2. So this Alomomola is really hurting me. And I'm saying in the chat, oh my god, in the chat that Showdown is moving really slow for me because my internet connection was actually balls. It was horrible. But that doesn't affect my play here. Just letting you guys know. But I go into my Screwdriver here, and I Swords Dance on the Wish because I knew it was coming, because that's what he's been doing all game, because that's all this stupid fat fish does is Wish. He actually goes for the knockoff here, which I was very surprised about. If he went up for the Scald, it would have been probably GG, to be completely honest. But yeah, he went for the Wish that turn, which means he is going to get all of that health back up to 54%. And he does make the switch out into his Diancie here to take this EQ and knock it out. And then back into this thing because Regenerator is being a jerk. So EQ does not pick up the KO from this range, especially since he knocked off my Life Orb. Thanks to Regenerator. So I just go for the Earthquake again to do a good amount of damage as he goes for another Wish. And he has to protect this turn, so I SD again. So this game really came down to two crucial plays involving Swords Dance. If it wasn't for the SD on my Screwdriver, which I was debating on bringing Swords Dance or not, I was really thinking about it. I didn't think I was going to bring it at first. If I did not bring Swords Dance on my Screwdriver, I would have lost this match as soon as he sent this thing in, basically. As soon as Chandelure went down after the Hydro Pump miss on the Crocodile, then I would have lost this match because I would have lost my way to deal with this. So Swords Dance really coming in clutch here. Those two predictions, the first one on the Wish, the second one on the Protect, we're really looking very, very good. He has to stay in here on this next EQ, and he has to take it, and he has to go down. So now it comes down to this, guys. Mienshao versus T-Tar in Sand Rush Drill. You want to see a showdown for the ages? You're about to see it. I cannot stay in here under any circumstances. I have to go out to T-Tar, and I have to set up the Sand in order for me to outspeed with Excadrill to potentially pick up the KO against this thing. So I have to sack off my T-Tar here, which I do. I take the Rocks damage. I have enough HP to live and set up the sand. He goes for high jump kick, and it doesn't miss. It does connect and knocks me out. It takes a little bit of chip damage there, and I go out to my Excadrill. We don't have that extra EQ damage anymore because Swords Dance is gone since I switched out. So can an Adamant max attack Excadrill KO a Mienshao from 70% at neutral, at no plus, without Swords Dance or anything? Well, we're about to learn something today, ladies and gentlemen. Because at this point, I didn't even calc it, because this was the only play I could make. I don't know how bulky this thing is. All I know as a regenerator, and a lot of regenerator Pokemon are primarily bulky. So I didn't calc it. I knew I outsped. I knew Earthquake would hit. It was just a matter of, is it going to kill it or not? I just clicked Earthquake and said it's my strongest move. It's going to hit him the hardest. Let's find out together. Earthquake hits, and we get the KO! Excadrill coming in clutch at the end of the game there. Knocking out the Alomomola, knocking out the Diancie, knocking out the Mienshao. Huge game for Excadrill, picking up the 3-0 sweep at the end there. And we pick up a 1-0 victory over ShatteredSimisear in a very kind of all-around match. Like, it's just ups and downs, and oh my god, I'm on a roller coaster. But yeah, very good match from ShatteredSimisear. The Alomomola was really a pain in my ass. I hated it so much. I still hate Alomomola. Like, my least favorite Pokemon in the world is Alomomola. It's a fat fish, and that's saying something, because my favorite Pokemon in the world is Lanturn, which is also a fat fish, but he's just a lot cooler. I don't know. I'm on a tangent. I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like down below if you liked our play. Also, leave a comment suggesting anything you would have liked to see differently. Like, maybe you thought I was going to bring a different Pokemon to this match. Maybe I misplayed somewhere. Let me know down below. I always like seeing that kind of stuff. So, thank you all for your support. Subscribe if you haven't. Follow me on Twitter. My name's Shoquafina, and I'm out.